Okay, folks, it's your buddy Mike. It's a WrestleRide in the dark. So we're going to have a nice darkly lit WrestleRide. And we're going to talk, or I'm going to talk, and you can feel free to comment, like, and subscribe. State of the game. I believe it's April 28th. It's a Tuesday. We had Monday Night Raw last night. Interestingly, there was a Nia Jax, Shayna Baszler, Asuka women's match. I don't think it was a qualifier for the TLC Money in the Bank contract match, or just Money in the Bank match, not TLC for crying out loud. But it was a women's match with seemingly a non-ending ending. Nia Jax had the two other ladies on the outside. She raised her mighty ladder to threaten them with a punishing ladder thrust. And instead she just dropped the ladder in the middle of the ring. Her music hit, and that was the end. So, as far as I know, it was scheduled to be a match. There was no ending to the match. Maybe they just didn't think that anyone would care for the ending. But just a weird non-finish finish for a WWE match? Question mark. The main event, what the fuck was it? I guess the main event scenario, if you're French, was the Drew McIntyre, Seth Rollins contract signing. I think Drew was getting the better of it. Then Buddy Murphy came in. Ironically, I had just done the Wrestling with the Future Refs Roundtable podcast with Mike, another Mike, and he was wondering what happened to Buddy Murphy and saying that Buddy Murphy was the victim of this empty arena era that I've thus labeled. Look, I think Drew McIntyre is doing his very best. The guy looks tremendous as a champion. He's a big, strong guy. He's in great shape. He's good on the mic. I think it'll be interesting if they can keep the belt on Drew, or at least keep him as a main event player with or without the belt when the empty arena era comes to a close. And that might be a year and a half from now. It might be 6 months from now. It might be 2 months from now. It might be a month from now. I'm seeing a lot of grumblings and rumblings from fellow fans in the Facebook worlds, the wrestling fans group hosted by Shane McKenna, No DQ group, In Your Head Wrestling Radio, OWN group hosted by Frank, Jimmy's in there. So all these wrestling groups that I'm in, a lot of people are showing some sickness or wariness of the empty arena era. I'm going to be perfectly honest and frank with you. I don't mind this empty arena era, meaning that the wrestling was so bad before this empty arena, at least on Raw and SmackDown, that it didn't bother me, or doesn't bother me, the lack of fans. I think it's challenging the wrestlers to get better, to learn how to connect on different levels, to not just go to their pony tricks and their normal BS bullshit, and to learn how to connect with the camera and the audience through the camera. And who has been successful doing this? I think Drew has, to an extent. Jericho definitely has over on AEW. Cody probably has. There was a wrestler last week on Raw. It was I don't want to insult his name, Angel Garza. And I'm wondering, is he the nephew or the son of Hector Garza? But Angel Garza made kind of a facial expression direct to camera, which is unusual for WWE. Have you ever heard Buff Bagwell tell the story of how he was chastised after his ill-fated match with Booker T on that WCW Nitro Raw, that Nitro is Raw episode from way back when, 2001. Okay, these firings, everybody's talking about these firings. Has the firings of WWE led to even worse ratings, or is there a certain contingent of fans that were so upset or distraught by the massive furloughs and contract releases and firings of anyone from Jerry Briscoe to Anderson and what's his dick, Carl Anderson and the other fuck, Festus or whoever. Is there fans that are so distraught that they're going to stop watching wrestling or WWE sports entertainment? And I don't know the answer to that. I do know that the SmackDown rating of the Triple H anniversary was a very low rated show from what I heard. Very poor ratings. Vince McMahon, as those that saw, does not look particularly good. He can't be feeling good after the XFL has closed its doors, and now Vince is getting sued by not Pat Summerall, not John Madden, but by Luck, Mr. Luck, Andrew Luck's father, whatever his name is, Oliver Platt or whoever the fuck he is. I guess I'm just thinking of Oliver Platt from the movie Ready to Rumble. Been listening to a lot of Eric Bischoff and Conrad Thompson podcasts, 83 Weeks, and caught myself a very interesting podcast that Conrad hosted on Super Clash 4. So one of the last big AWA shows. They probably had, I don't know, 1,000 people in the audience, 2,000 people. This was back in 1990. And it's got a Larry Zbyszko challenging Mr. Saito, or Masa Saito, as Bischoff likes to call him, his buddy. Paul Diamond and the Trooper that would go on to be in the Orient Express, Paul Diamond as Kato, and the Trooper, who many would know as the Patriot in Global Wrestling Federation and the WWF Survivor Series 97. He challenged Bret Hart. So those two guys are against Wayne the Train Bloom and Mean Mike Enos, known as the Beverly Brothers. A year or so later, the WWF, managed by the Genius. There's a popular little gif going around of them really screwing up a guy with a neck cruncher, like a kind of a flapjack neck crunch, the Destruction Crew. But back in their Destruction Crew days, that was the Beverly Brothers that did that move with the meme thing. But anyway, the Destruction Crew were in this non-title cage match, and if you have the WWE Network, as I do currently, check it out. Super Clash 4, it's in the Hidden Gems. You see a very young Eric Bischoff. You see kind of like one of the last old-fashioned wrestling shows, if that means anything to you. What else? All these firings. AEW has been providing new shows. They're new to us. And luckily, Meltzer or whoever the fuck hasn't leaked all the details of all the winners and losers. But these shows, apparently until mid-May, were all taped in like one big 2 or 3 day tape-a-thon. And you can see that some of the jokes kind of run quite long. Like Jericho is calling some gentleman Pineapple Pete in the front row. And there's a really attractive female wrestler who lost, but she's like kind of an auburn brown-haired beauty woman wrestler, and I guess she was part of the local wrestling group, or she's being trained by Cody Rhodes or Dustin Rhodes or somebody, but very pretty. I can't remember her name, but hopefully she'll get a nice contract eventually. I don't mind watching these pre-tape shows. I know that AEW is trying their best. The big news, as discussed on Wrestling with the Future, both the Refs Roundtable and the regular show, hosted and produced by Angelo, and I encourage you to check out the YouTube and the Apple podcast for Wrestling with the Future. But these whole WWE is able to do shows in Florida without an audience. Is that, I guess it's legal because it's happening, but is that fair? And to other types of businesses, whether it's live entertainment or restaurants, and now because they've been deemed an essential business, the WWE. But does that also mean for other sports or sports events? I mean, where do we draw the line, folk? I've been wearing my neck gaiter, everybody. That is a neck gaiter. You put that on your neck when you go out into public. I encourage all of you to get a neck gaiter, get some type of facial covering, cover your nose, cover your face. We can't allow this goddamn virus any more leeway. We have to be diligent. So just be diligent. Cover your nose and your face. Limit your outside activities as much as possible. If you're able to sit outside somewhere, please do so, but try to keep your social distancing. Vince McMahon looking really bad on SmackDown. Look, I take no, pleasure in seeing Vince looking like that, to be honest with you. And I haven't enjoyed some of the decisions the WWE has done in recent years. We all know that. However, I'm not going to wish ill on Vince, but he's just not looking very good, to be honest. And so forth. A friend of mine, a good patient watcher, Andre Cabil's got a nice wrestling page. Andre, feel free to link it in the comments section. But Andre had an interview with a wrestler from Impact, I believe, Raj, and I don't mean to be mean, Andre, but Impact has kind of lost my interest over the years because they've gotten a lot of good talent, but then the talent seems to leave just when they're getting somewhere with the talent. Now, who would I mean? Well, Mike Bennett and Maria Kanellis came in for a cup of coffee. They were supposed to be feuding with Cody and his wife, his lovely wife, Brandy Rhodes, and that kind of came and went. And they had the beautiful Scarlett Bordeaux in their company, and she came and went. And over the years, TNA has gone from Spike TV, and then they went to this network and Access and this network, and then they're just on Twitch. Then the company was sold, and I guess like a lot of fans, I just lost my interest in trying to chase these guys down. And I also had a situation where I ordered TNA Wrestling Hardcore Justice 2010 2-disc DVD set, and on the Raven Tommy Dreamer match, which was my favorite match on the fucking show, the audio goes to crap. There was an audio drop, and the audio was out of sync. So I'm watching Raven versus Dreamer, and they're doing their match, but the audio's out of sync, and it's horrible and god-awful. So I remember emailing fucking TNA and getting the runaround, and calling them and getting the runaround, and I've never fucking forgiven, because they gave me the runaround and said they'd replace it, and they never fucking did. So I started losing interest in Impact. And, I know that they had some great people like EC3 and like Rockstar Spud. And what's the Eli guy? The guy that calls you an idiot or an asshole or whatever he says, or a dummy. And they had the beautiful Scarlett Bordeaux and so forth. But now I know that TNA has really just become a comedy show. It's become a parody act. It's become your local hipster indie wrestling scene that happens to have some TV coverage. And they're doing things like Joey Ryan flipping his dick around people, and people are supposed to take a dick spot. And they've got some other things going in that program, TNA Wrestling, of which I do not approve. So when they're doing these comedy skits and they're making wrestlers court into a joke, and it's all this insider ha-ha funny, you've lost me, folks, and you've lost most of the fans. And their whole big deal about, Sami Callihan's going to take a baseball bat and he's going to swing it on a chair and almost blind, what's his name, Eddie Edwards. Sorry, you lost my interest. When you promote people that don't know how to work and swing baseball bats on chairs and almost blind a guy and smash his eye socket, guess what, folks? You've lost me as a fan permanently. And then you've got things like, Tessa Blanchard's going to beat Sammy, and Tessa Blanchard's going to beat this 300-pound muscle man. And look, Tessa Blanchard might very well be the #1 female wrestler in the world. And the word is female. And there's nothing wrong with women wrestlers wrestling other women wrestlers. But when you start putting these women wrestlers that are very good, like Tessa Blanchard, and start insisting that for her to progress her career, it's going to be at the sacrifice of 300-pound male wrestlers, you've lost me. And it's a gimmick, and it doesn't work for me. And all the male wrestlers in TNA who have lost to Tessa or are going to lose to Tessa, they should just take a pair of scissors and chop their testicles off and play with them in their hands like a Chinese puzzle, folks. Like one of those, you have those Chinese ceramic eggs that you roll around in your knuckles. That's what Chris Cage and Sami Callihan should do, because they've all been neutered like dogs or castrated like cats, and it's all very shameful now, isn't it? So I don't watch Impact. Sorry, my friend. Andre's a nice guy. Cabillo, and I said, please sign on for his YouTube channel and so forth, but I just can't sit there and watch TNA wrestling. I can, however, watch this Detroit wrestling. I found this Detroit wrestling from like the 70s, a younger Terry Funk. All types of interesting people. A football player. This studio wrestling from Detroit, circa 1974. It was a James J. Dillon and tag teaming with a Arnold Scotland against a motorcycle team of some kind, the Hells Angels motorcycle team. So folks, I find myself going back into yesteryear. For all you wrestling fans who are not into this empty arena, remember, go on YouTube, go anywhere, Amazon Prime, you can put the word wrestling in and find some old wrestling, old school wrestling. It doesn't have to just be, oh, I'm watching old school wrestling, it's Shawn Michaels versus Bret Hart for the millionth time. There's more to wrestling, old school, than what you know. It's not just, oh, here's Hunter Hearst Helmsley versus Mankind at King of the Ring 97. There's more to wrestling, folks. Recently watched the Skyscrapers Unmask the Ding Dongs. That was quite exciting. And recently watched some Ivan Koloff and some WWF house shows. So my point is, folks, don't limit yourself to the wrestling that they're feeding you. Open your minds, open your hearts to some wrestling, professional wrestling, not sports entertainment, but professional wrestling that will make you feel good about yourself. MikeMessier.com, Man in a Camera Films, Avalonia Festal, Distance from Avalon, the Wrestling with the Future podcast, all the great guests we've had, Nikita Brezhnanov, if I'm saying his name properly, great guest, JJ Maguire, great guest, the musician who wrote much of your favorite songs, and so forth. Baby Doll's been a guest, Magnum TA's coming on soon, the Raging Bull Manny Fernandez, and many others on Wrestling with the Future podcast. But this has been Mike Messier.